Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm excited to share with you my latest purchase. This is the Cartier Santos 100 XL. Now, admittedly, guys, I'm still in my honeymoon phase, so I might just be a little biased in this presentation. I'm over the moon about this purchase. It is such a great watch, a very interesting watch. Now, I know some of you, this is not your cup of tea. You know, you look at this and you think, I don't identify with the design. It's entirely too big. It's too expensive for my taste. It has an ETA movement. And, you know, you just don't see the appeal. And I get that. But, you know, if you watch the video, I hope I'm able to kind of help you understand the appeal and the draw and why I found it necessary to add it to my collection and my rotation. My friend Eric actually sent this in for me to feature and say it was for sale, put it up, you know, for everybody to make offers on. But as soon as I got it in hand, I knew this watch is special. So I ended up buying it from him. It's not available for sale, and it won't be because I'm not going to be able to let this one go. You might think, no, Bruce, you flip all the time. What are you talking about? This will be for sale in a month. Guys, listen to this video. Look at the details here. You'll understand why I think this is such a special piece. Now, one, it comes down to the history. Obviously, the Santos is the first aviation watch, and this version was released on the 100-year anniversary of the original Santos. So, I mean, it's got some really great history. You know, Louis Cartier made and designed this watch for his friend Alberto Santos Dumont, so he could wear it as he piloted a dirigible over the streets of Paris in 1904. So, I mean, it just doesn't get much cooler than that. And that's why you might not like the design, that it looks so old-fashioned with the large Roman numerals, the squarish shape. But guys, that's where the design stems from. And I appreciate that history. Now, the 100 XL takes that history and it does it in a modern, oversized execution. Now, this is much more than just a beefy, heavy watch. Even with links taken out of this bracelet, it's over 200 grams. There is a lot of stainless steel here, and it feels bulletproof. Like this bracelet, I mean, it feels like a tank tread. I'm not trying to make a Cartier pun there. I mean, it's just so well executed, and the tolerances and the finishing is, it's just awesome. Despite its large size, it's not just a beast. This as strange as this sounds, it manages to convey a level of refinement and finesse. Now, most of the watch is brushed, and of course we have the polished bezel, we have polished screws, polished crown, that does carry an inset synthetic spinal stone. That's a hallmark of Cartier. They always put a stone in their crowns. Now, some of them are actually precious gems, but this one is just a synthetic spinal. But, you know, it carries some polish and some pop, beveled edges. But check this out. Look how this case just arcs, and it conforms to the curvature of the wrist in such a natural and comfortable way. So even though it's big and heavy, and at 200 grams, I mean, that's dive watch heavy. Here it is next to my Seiko Sumo. Now, this is a 38 millimeter diameter watch, not counting the crown. The crown bumps it out to about 42.5, but you can see it just makes the Sumo, which is a big beefy Japanese diver, it makes it look a little diminutive. So I love the presence. That's definitely my style. It might not be everybody's style, but I love the pop and presence and how it just conforms to the wrist. There are zero hot spots on this thing. It's finely brushed and executed. Take a look at this clasp here. It's a beautiful clasp, and you'll notice the form of it, especially closed, mimics the form of the case. So, I mean, you've got the square portion, you've got how these, what would be the lugs on the opposite side kind of arc down and meet the bracelet, polished beveled edges on the top and bottom. That form is the case form. That's really cool. But just take a look at how overbuilt it is. And that is just really nice. There's a lot of steel here. And when it's closed, just butter smooth to the touch. That's just great attention to detail. Now let's zoom out And talk about the movement. We have the Cartier caliber 049 inside this watch. Now, what is that? That is an ETA 2892 A2 movement that is in the Elabor finish, thermally blued screws, perlage work, Geneva striping, very nice execution. And I actually took this to my watchmaker, and we opened it up. We had a look at the movement. We threw it on the time grapher. This thing is running very impressive. It's actually running nicer than the Rolex that I'm wearing today. It's got no beat error. It's got a strong amplitude, and it really likes this dial forward position where it runs almost exactly spot on. So whatever Cartier is doing, they're doing a great job at upgrading and regulating very trusty ETA movement. So that's something that I appreciate. The new versions of the Santos carry a new in-house movement that's shielded in a Faraday cage. I also think that's really cool, but I personally identify with the tried and true nature of an ETA movement, something that I could have my watchmaker service if I have a mind to, and I have I have years of history when it comes to the performance of the movement. Now let me show you some other details that I've just found so enjoyable as I've spent a week with this on wrist. Now one is going to be this sapphire crystal, which you guys can see is shaped and curved and offers some excellent distortion from oblique angles. That's really nice to see. There's a little bit of chamfer there on the edge. I love looking at the dial and it's not just a flat white. As you guys can see, there's a little bit of texture here and a very slight amount of reflectance. Very good backdrop for these bold Roman numerals that really just pop. And I like the fact that this has the watchmaker's 4. Normally 4 in Roman numerals is an IV, but if you put an I and a V here on the dial, it ends up looking like there's too much white space down here in this corner. So a watchmaker's 4 is 4 I's in a row. I like seeing that, and I love seeing the secret signature in the 7 Roman numeral. That looks, that's just really fun to notice. I like the indexing here inside of those bold Roman numerals, the sword hands that do carry superluminova. So, I will admit I can read the time in low light. Obviously there's no reference indexing, but you can see it in low light situations. What would be any negative aspects? I know I'm really fawning over this. I would say there's just 2 things, and they're pretty easy to live with. One is, the indexing being inside of that Roman numeral track. When you're trying to set the time, it makes it a little difficult with the minute hand if you're trying to get it exactly in the right spot. So I find, since that minute hand carries over past them, that I have to set the time on a full hour marker. So when it's pointing at 12 or 1, or any of those indexes all the way up from 1 to 12, that makes it easy to set the right time. But if it's like 1:17 and I'm trying to get that that minute hand at the right position, it can be a little bit difficult to do so. But it's just a minor thing. The other thing is your polished bezel here that's bolted on with 8 different screws. It is a scratch and smudge magnet. You can see hairlines here, Mars and marks. I'm not going to get it refinished. Maybe at one point I might take some Cape Cod cloth and just try to fine tune it a little bit if it starts to bother me. But again, guys, this is more than an elegant watch from one of the world's premier luxury good company. This is a sport watch, and at its roots, it is celebrating Alberto Santos Dumont's popularity and his flight in Paris during the same time when the Wright brothers were, experimenting with airplanes going into wind gusts in North Carolina and Ohio. There's just some great history here. So it's a sport watch at heart, and I don't mind a couple scratches here and there. So anyways, guys, I've fawned over it long enough. It's just built like a tank. It's a beast, but yet it does attain that level of finesse and refinement. And I'll tell you what, I am excited every time I put this on wrist, and I feel the weight and the heft, but I also see the beauty and, again, the refinement, the details. I love everything about it. This is an awesome watch, and one that I really identify with. So thank you for taking the time to watch. I hope you've enjoyed taking a look at this video. Let me know if you have any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.